G'day, that's Slot Car Guy here, and welcome back to another slot car review. And yes, it's about time that I did a Revell slot car review. Of course, I'm excited that Carrera and Revell have joined forces, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for those two companies together. But let's take a look at an older version of Revell slot cars. Welcome back to another review, and yes, it is Revell's turn. Old school Revell. Well, when I say old school, early 2000s. There's a bit of history to this company which I've found out before doing this review, which is really, really cool. Also, massive thanks to Slot Shops for sending me this beautiful warm vest. I'll be wearing this in the shed because it does get pretty cold in here. And a massive thank you to everyone because I've hit 1,000 subscribers. To some, that might not seem like a lot, but to me, I'm speechless that I've got 1,000 subscribers. So thank you everyone who's subscribed and who watch my videos. But let's get stuck into it. I've chosen one of my favorite Revell slot cars. I do have a few, but it is the NSU TT Cup. Now again, as always, we're gonna zoom in, we'll do a teardown, we'll do a hot lap. I'll see if I can post a quick time on my board, but there's also a little bit of info about this brand prior to becoming what we know now is Carrera Revell or Revell Carrera. So let's get stuck into the teardown and let's have a chat about this awesome company. Rightio, so let's get stuck into the review, and as always, a quick tour of the packaging. I won't spend too much time, but I do like this era packaging for Revell. It's got the slot car track going around the outside of the clear case. I like that. And on the top here, it looks like, I'm gonna say looks like a Carrera wired thumb trigger. Really cool. And that actually looks like Carrera 143 track, but I'm just taking a guess here. Of course, the iconic Revell logo on top here. Now the car is moving around because I don't have the screw that belongs under the car. Around the back, let's have a squiz. There's a bit of information in other languages, very boring stuff, but it is the NSU TT Cup 1300 Albert Kaisha. Now take note of the monogram signage here as well, and as I do the review I'll talk about the history of Revell, and it's had a couple of change of hands. Now underneath there's a lot of information, and this was released in 2004. So that's your packaging. I think it looks quite cool for its time. Let's zoom in, do a teardown, and we'll have a quick brief chat about the history of Revell. Rightio, let's get stuck into the teardown, and before we do, a quick brief history on Revell. Now Revell started in 1964 and they released 132 and 124 slot cars, and while I'm talking we'll just have a quick look at the car itself. Now they use plastic model car kits like what they released today, and their first release car was in 64 and it was a Shelby Cobra. Then they've moved on to 1994, Revell monogram came into existence, and that was owned and run by Hallmark Cards. I could not believe when I read that a card company who makes birthday cards were the owner of this beautiful slot car company. Then in 2007, Revell went back to its own name, being Revell itself, without the monogram logo, and they released cars just as Revell. And then of course today, Carrera and Revell have joined forces, and I'm seriously excited for the future. Now that's a brief little bit of history. Let's take a look at the slot car. Now I've separated the chassis and the shell, and it has taken 4 of these little screws, which I'll show you the location in a tick. Very quick teardown. Obviously it's an old slot car released in 2004, but let's have a look at this little weapon. This has got to be my top 10 favorite looking slot cars. Love the blue and the silver. I'm not familiar with this race car in its livery now. I've never seen this car race, but let's have a look at it together. Love it. Driver's side, so we've got a driver. Looks like it's a full-size model. I can't really see until I do a teardown. He's wearing a white fire suit with some blue harness straps with a white helmet. We've got some really nice sports seats in there. You can't see, sorry, it's a bit small. Now, being a model company, they've actually detailed the dash. I'm going to see if I can get in there. Probably can't, but they've actually got detailed dials in there. But unfortunately, it's such a small slot car. Take a look at these wicked rims. Probably, I'm going to say it, they're my favorite slot car rims I've ever seen. They are truly incredible with the Michelin branded tires. Let's move around to the front. Very old school, twin headlights. I like how, I'm guessing that's an that'd be an oil radiator or something similar. Very JDM now. If you look at all the old Jap racing cars, they're now running a similar setup. It looks really, really cool. Looks tough. We've got 2 mirrors, driver and passenger. Around to the passenger side, again, very similar to the drivers. We are number 1, oh, that's got 2 different numbers. That's 135 on one side and 181 on the other. Didn't notice that before. On top, let's take a look at the paint job. Immaculate. Pinstriping's beautiful. The lines on this car is truly incredible. I like how they've done the detailing around the back windows and the side windows with the silver strip. So it really shows that there is windows and there's a little bit of roll cage at the rear. Inside, I'll see if I can see, there is a fire extinguisher on the passenger side seat. You won't be able to see that right now. Let's move around to the back. This is where I love this slot car. I love how the boots popped up, or let's call it the bonnet because that's where the engine is popped up ever so slightly. Looks like they've got some gas shocks or similar. But I'm going to see if I can zoom in there and get the motor. It's nicely chromed up. Look at that. I know you can only just see in there, but that is seriously tough. Love the old school dot lights. We've got, is it 2 brake lights on one indicator? Absolutely love that. And then the rear exhaust work. I am blown away that this slot car was produced in 2004 because it is incredibly well executed and finished. Everything looks brand new on this. I love it. So that's enough on the outside. Let's take off the shell. Let's have a quick look inside. They've actually color coded the inside of the shell, so it's blue or interior, and there you go. It is a half model. He's got no legs. I ain't got no legs. Beautiful, good looking shell. Now let's take a look at the business. As I said, it's a very, very small chassis. Inline motor with that old school angle, like the old, very old Scala-Trick cars. As you can see, it's running on the angle. Now, I don't know what motor's in this. I did try and find out, but it looks like a Carrera motor, which, looking at this, it looks like a scaled down Carrera car. If you're used to a Carrera slot car, it is very much what a Carrera slot car looks like. Again, hit the comments if this was part of Carrera back then. I don't know. Did they borrow parts? I'm honestly not too sure. I love how they've done the negative and positive color coded. That really helps me out because normally they're one color. But inline, rear wheel drive, and these little awesome tires and rims. I am blown away by that. And they simply clip in, so you can pull that in and out. But I won't do. I might actually break, to be honest. But they clip in and out. Very basic, but you know what? It works. Now, is this DPR ready or Carrera digital ready? I'd reckon you'd be able to fit a Scala-Tric's DPR in there, maybe. The Carrera, I would say no. You might have to use the F1 Carrera chip because that's a bit smaller. Now, these are plastic rims, and the the pinion and crown, I'm not 100% sure what tooth they are, but they actually look like Scala-Trick pinion and tooth. Again, I don't know if Revell borrowed parts from other companies, but it's looking very familiar with different company stuff in there. But again, I'm only guessing. So if you do know, please put in the comments. Upside down, we are running a magnet across the rear in its own little housing, just behind the motor. Again, rear wheel drive. It's fairly raised underneath. I'll try and get a good shot of it. As you can see, it does go up in a nice little slope. I don't know how that's going to affect performance. We have got a front guide, and it's a very small guide. So I am running Carrera. It'll be interesting to see how this performs around my track. Now, the location of the screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, very simple to break down. But as always, let's chuck this on the track. We're going to try and get 5 clean laps. I'm going to predict this will be a high contender on my board. So let's jump into a hot lap. We'll come back and we'll discuss how it went.
Lap 1, 11.76 seconds. Lap 2, 10.69 seconds. Lap 3, 10.43 seconds.
So how did Revell's NSU TT Cup go around my track? Well, this thing is an absolute beast. It did a 10:43, and yes, the SRC Chrono Complex board has been updated, and it is by far the fastest magnet car I've had so far recorded on my track. Factory fresh, this thing was an absolute beast, and it just looked, I don't know if you could see it on camera, but it was just hoofing around the track. So really, really cool slot car. Of course, tires, braid, guide, weight, more magnets, bigger motor. This thing, the sky's the limit, but factory fresh, untouched. Really, really good. Now I have added some new borders to the track, and there's a slight raise in the center. Has that affected the times? I don't think so, but now I can push that a little bit harder because I've got more drift area. If this isn't a cry out to Revell Carrera to make slot cars together, I don't know what is. If there is a petition, sign it. If not, hit my comments and ask for them to make a slot car together or start their sub brand, because this is a great example of what they could make and what they used to make, and I'm a massive fan of their old school stuff and would love to see a new era. So hit the comments if you think that's something that should happen. Also, thank you to Slot Shops for the vest. Very, very thankful for that. I love the support you're giving me. Thank you to everyone who's subscribed. I think I'm 1,030 subscribers now. Dislikes, comments, negative comments, all that kind of stuff. Keep it coming because I'm learning every video I make, but thank you. And as always, at that slot car guy on Instagram. So be safe, take care, ciao.